Welcome to the Musicians Exchange. Today, I got here two of the good homies, two sound engineers. They professionals, well known around the area and outside the area. I'll let them introduce themselves.
Manny Smith. I am originally from Danville, Virginia. Born and raised. I moved to Durham, North Carolina, where I currently live.
Cool. This is Marty Taylor. Born and raised in Baltimore. Been in North Carolina, Triangle area since 2008.
Okay, dope. So I understand, who are some, some artists you work with, and I really brought them in to, give their perspective on how they can help our musicians and things that they see musicians do that they need to do better and they should do better. I mean, just the whole nine, you know what I mean? Like anything we need to know, any pointers. I feel like, they're advanced in their career and they know what they're talking about. So as far as in your career, man, like what are some things, being on the road? I know being on the road comes with a whole lot and, it requires energy and stuff like that. Musicians, in that manner, what are some things y'all like and y'all dislike?
Just personally being on the road, or just
Personally being on the road.
sometimes the dealing with the certain management of camps can really make the situation not fun. I have a big thing with me is when I start to feel like what I do is a job, I don't like it anymore. So
Word.
when I'm out on the road doing sound, I'm doing production, I don't feel like it's a job. I feel like it's an honor, it's a privilege, it's fun. It starts to, because of management calls and things that they're doing, it makes it not fun. Being on the road with just unprofessional people makes it not fun, like musicians or singers or whatever, other production people. So that's some of the struggles I have on the road. That's Marty.
Manny, what about you?
I guess Marty tackled the general side of management. I just think from a, musician standpoint, I think one of the things that I run into a lot is musicians on the road, more so than certain local musicians, know how to stay in their lane.
Right. Okay. That's good.
And they understand their craft and what their job is. So I think from that perspective, dealing with the musicians that understand their gifting and their talent and how to utilize it within the genre or just the realm of the type of music they're playing, or the artists they're dealing with, that they approach it accordingly. And I think some people locally could take some advice from that, more than criticizing what they see on the road, or their opinion, just taking in, well, what are they doing that I could be doing to get me to where they are.
That's real. And I mean, even with down to, I know some particulars. I've heard Manny, I know you, you my bro, both of you my bros, but, I know you pay attention to the tuning of drums. You know what I mean? Like, even aside from the EQ and stuff like that, I know all of that matters. Even with Marty, I don't know what instrument you listen to in particular. I've never heard you really just lean on one instrument, but, you down with making everything sound fat and right, pause, you know what I mean? But, yeah, as far as drums, I know, Manny, you look for that, for the drummer. He, if he don't know how to tune, you there to help him tech and stuff like that. And, I mean, I've even recently seen, you guys at a show and, your professionalism with that last show we was at in VA, when the sound had a little mishap, y'all got it done. And for the musicians, they showed their musicianship by continuing to play, just trusting y'all. I seen Manny walk across the back of the stage, he got it done. Within minutes, you know what I mean? Not even 5 minutes, sound was back up running, and it was sweet, Marty built the show back up, he did what he had to do, and it was like, they never skipped a beat. So, being with professional musicians, that made a difference. As with some cats with it, yo, my sound went out my ears. And how do y'all deal with that? Musicians complaining about their mix.
How do I deal with that? Man, I'm saved now. I just got rededicated my life, so I can't say certain things. But it's annoying. We all go through things that make our job not so great. So it's like when things do happen, like you said, it's really important that you be professional about it. But sometimes it makes it worse when you got people just whining. Now, granted, being in production, our job is to aid and make sure that the stage is good. That's, we're portraying the portrait or the image that the artists and the band members are trying to, I get it. Like when you playing drums or you playing bass, you're pissed when like you're putting in all that work and nobody can even hear you, nothing you're doing on snare, like nothing you're putting on. So I get it, but it's kind of like the whining part of it is just, it gets annoying. There's a certain way you can approach each other in respect and love and say, hey bro, like I have an issue with this sound, or I'm having this problem here. Like, what can we do about it? Is something that I could turn down, or is it something, you know what I'm saying, versus just whining. So that's my thing about that.
That's real. So keeping that open line of communication. What about you, Manny? Sometimes you do front house mix, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I think to jump back to your question real quick, as far as leaning on drums, it just comes from a perspective of being a drummer. And a tidbit, that's Marty's favorite instrument.
Okay.
When it comes to mixing, although he paints a really good picture of the overall aspect of the mix. But I think part of that came from being a drummer, hearing a sound, and then I guess just hanging with Marty and just kind of understanding like tuning of everything, even down to like making sure pianos are in tune, stuff like that, and making sure basses are in tune, like just the overall picture. When stuff is done right, it makes the mixing easier.
Right.
When your drums are in tune, I don't have to doctor it and baby it.
Right.
It makes the overall aspect better. Like when your bass is in tune, or you tune according to the genre in your bass, you're not tuning just to what I like.
That's
you're
real.
tuning to what the job calls for.
That's real.
Because there are different basses that play differently. You can't use certain 4, 5, and 6 strings for every job. No matter how you feel like it may be a fit, sometimes you got to just watch the approach and how you take it. So I think that's just how that happened.
Okay.
With the musicians, I just think that you could just understand our perspective and know that when stuff go wrong, we're not just sitting there twiddling our fingers, praying that it goes back right. Sometimes musicians forget that our stress level is way more of a struggle than their stress level. Like, especially if you're filling in or if you're on a one-off, my stress level to get the job right versus you, for example, as a musician that's been on the gig, my stress level is probably 20 times more than yours. So just sometimes just think about if you were in my shoes.
Bear with them.
And you got to do what I got to do to fix the job, save face for myself, but also make sure you're good so you can do your job. Just remember that in the back of your head before you start, this and that was wrong. And
right.
It was, but then I fixed it, and were you able to do your job?
Right. Yeah, no, I agree, man, because, you know what I mean, even me being a drummer, there's been plenty of times, bro, like, when sound ain't sweet, bro, it's like walking blind at night. Like, bro, or driving blind, let's say that. It's more of a risk, you know what I mean, to the point where you read lips. And it's like you just trying to match the energy and read lips, and, your ears may go out or your wedge may go out or something just not sweet at all. You don't hear the clap in the click track, you know what I mean? Like, your wedge just roaring. So, I understand, and I had to learn, just be patient, bro, and let your inner musician tap in, you know what I mean? Let it kick in and let the sound man do his job. He already got a lot to worry about. He already looking at, he trying to manage the front house, the lead vocalist, the sound everywhere, all around. Like, from both of y'all being at the church and just managing the whole nine with it. So I agree, man. And, like I said, like plenty of times, like I've been in situations where the sound wasn't sweet. And y'all walked in the room, I don't care if y'all was with me or not. I got happy because I'm like, yo, my bros here, we good. Yo, I remember specifically one time we was in Rocky Mount. And, Marty walked in. We was at a little, I ain't going to say a hole in the wall in church, but a little small joint, but it was packed. We was Eric Duncan and them.
Mm-hmm.
I looked at Marty. I said, bro, how we going to do it? He said, I got you. Don't worry about it. And I couldn't tell the difference. You know what I mean? So it was just like, you just got to trust your sound man. And I feel like it's good to get cool with your sound man as well. Definitely, man. So my next question would be, How long should sound checks be? Per instrument or as a whole?
From my experience on the road, it should be the longest. It should be an hour.
Okay.
That's it all depends on. Yeah, that's including vocals.
Oh wow.
But it all depends on how prep stuff is. If the gear is right, if the wires are ran right, the monitors are right, outputs, inputs right, patch right, sound line checked. If all that's good, then it should be fairly kind of quick. I've seen some artists go up to 2-3 hours. That kills the morale to me.
Yeah, the show is over, but you done rehearsed the whole show.
Yeah, but like I said, I've done stuff with Kurt,
right.
Lewis, and all those, and we could get it done like under an hour.
Wow, Manny.
I agree with that. About an hour sounds good. The biggest thing is just we make sure our stuff is right, and you make sure your stuff is right. From a musician standpoint, make sure you're there, and you've done everything you can do to make sure that we can continue to do what we need to do before it's time to actually check. Like, make sure your drums are tuned, make sure the height is good for how you want to play it, make sure your keyboard stands are at the level where you like it at, where you ain't got to call for a hand because you came in last minute and want to adjust the height. Because that all plays a role back into how long sound check will be. So just from that standpoint, just making sure that you're doing your job there. Don't fall back on you where it's like, why we can't sound check? Because the drummer left this, or because backline left this, and then you got there late, and then make sure backline had what you needed, or they had an alternative.
That's real. I mean, so
another thing with soundcheck though too is the biggest thing that will make a soundcheck longer is, or just not the best it can be, is everybody not playing it at show volume. That's the biggest thing.
So play at show volume.
Yeah. So like if you're on drums, and they say kick, hit that kick like it's the show. Don't go pity patting, because what happens is you got a good sound guy. They're gaining everything, getting everything kind of set at what you're playing. So
right.
Now you come back in when the song comes in and you're like 5, 10, 20 dB hotter, it throws the whole entire sound check off. And then everybody's like, what happened? It was right on sound check. It wasn't right on sound check.
Right.
You guys halfway played, sung, whatever, and now it's all jacked. That's the biggest thing that I see happening. And the sound man gets blamed every time for it.
Yeah. Y'all take a lot of bullets, man. Like, a lot of bullets. I mean,
I think to tag on to that, I think I know it affects front of house a lot, which you can pull. You can pull and kind of gauge and get it back to where you had it to a degree. I think for monitors, it really, really it plays a bigger part, because you're dealing with for lack of better words, the livelihood or the performance of every individual on stage that has your particular instrument in their wedge or in their ears. So when you come out playing out of control, you screw everybody.
right.
You screw everybody. So that's just.
And does that happen often on a professional level, or is that like, it's like once you there, like, nah, they know already?
Occasionally on a professional level, sometimes.
Right.
Sometimes no, sometimes yes. It all depends.
So leaning on that, you know what I mean? Being that you brought up wedges, which one is less or more of a headache for you guys when musicians have the inner ears or wedges? Because I know, a lot of cats, they like the hype of the inner ears. Some cats prefer the wedges, you know what I mean? So which one is, which one helps y'all get your job done quicker and more efficient?
It varies. I think wedges are a little bit faster only because you can just dial quickly.
Wow.
Because, it's just there. You can dial until they're good. But it's like ear stuff. It's like with ears, you have to deal with noise coming through mics. And vocal mics, you have to deal with wedges, but it doesn't affect the wedge as much as it do your ears, because you have an enclosure in your ear that's cutting off sound, and you're relying on what's coming through your ear to replicate what you're trying to listen for. So I think dealing with in-ears is definitely a little bit more difficult and a little bit more delicate of a situation than just throwing stuff up in the wedge and at least getting a starting point to where you can work from. But it also depends on the artist and also depends on the engineer and how fast they can maneuver to do either or. So just how you pick your poison.
The same thing for me is wedges are faster.
Wow, I see.
Ears sound better.
There you go. I thought I was, okay. Look.
You get a good ear mix. It's night and day the world. Ears is better because it quiets the stage down and allows the front of house mix to get, gotta get a good mix going. But I do understand some people like they feel it, So I've been on tour now where drummers are using ears, wedges, and subs. So
yeah, they put the wedge behind them.
Mm-hmm.
So they,
feel.
And a sub.
Mm-hmm.
No, I understand. I guess it's pick your preference and stuff like that. That's cool. I mean, so let me ask you this: as far as a lot of cats like to have a lot of gear, and it's all on preference. And some cats they play based on, and not necessarily drums, keyboardists. I've seen them start lately getting out of hand, and they 4 or 5 keyboards, different sounds. And I get it. They don't have time to program and go to different stuff. Even with drummers, a bunch of cymbals and extra drums and triggers and all of that. How do y'all feel about that? Does that make y'all job any harder? Having to bring that through the house?
I'm good with that, as long as we understand what the channel count on the board limitations that we have. If we have a 32 channel console,
is it dope?
Don't be doing all that.
Is it dope? So how would you do that then? Look.
I mean, I would just beat with the MD with the artist, and we would discuss that.
Okay, yeah.
But if it's a necessity for us keyboard wise, and I trust the keyboard player, we'll just go ahead and start submixing the keys down. But other than that, man, you gotta understand our limitations.
Yeah. So who does that affect though? Who? So as far as the band, who does it affect more? The front house engineer?
Yeah, front house.
Front house. Okay, it affects the front house. So is it one person that's in the front house, or is it two? Like one on the board and one running, figuring out what they need, or?
Well, I guess this depends on the situation. It depends on if you're using one console or two. A lot of instances when we're doing like larger format stuff, it's usually 2 consoles.
Okay.
So it's one man in front of house. He's like I try to tell my mom to make it layman's terms. He's mixing from the audience perspective and what he feels it should sound like, but also mixing it to sound as close to the album featuring a live band as possible. And then the monitor engineer, of course, the job is to focus on the artist, but also make sure the band and background singers or what have you have what they need in order to do their job effectively.
Right.
So I guess it just depends on how lenient the MD or the artist is with scaling back certain things in order to paint the picture.
Right.
If we only got, like Marty said, 32 channels.
Is that typical? That what typical board is? What board is typical size for traveling, and then when you show up in some situations, what amount of channels do they normally have? It's 32, 64.
Depends on what the gig is.
So I mean, like the tour that y'all just recently did.
Jonathan?
Yeah, something like that. Being that y'all going to different venues.
I guess with that, a couple things play in effect. The number one thing is the budget.
Yeah, definitely.
And depending on what you're traveling in to be able to carry it also affects the budget. So just depending on what you can spend in renting or what may have you determines that really starts the point of what the channel count is. Because I mean, you can lay out on paper you got 56 channels, but if your budget only allows an X32,
right.
That's what you have to roll with. So it just depends. I think the budget also plays the most important effect when it comes to like touring and what you can get or what you're going to utilize on the tour. Because if you can't spend it, you can't have it.
That's real. That's real. Marty.
I agree. That typical, but it also, like you said, it depends on what venue you in. Most churches are gonna have 32 channels, and that's it. That's like standard now. And then you go to the bigger shows, it's 48 channels, and bigger than that, it's plus. And Beyonce, Justin Timberlake, they up to like 100 and some channels.
Yeah, definitely.
This ain't never happening in the gospel world.
I mean, how y'all feel? Have y'all ever came across a 100 channel board and had to mix it?
I came across, I think the biggest show I mixed was like 72.
I think my biggest is probably we do Summit. I think it's 60. We do 60. Well, on console it's 64, but some stuff we're subbing. So I think we're up. I think that show is actually like 70, 72 channels, 73 channels, because we're sub mixing a couple things like talkbacks. I think Brandon Man had a string section.
Right.
So I think that show is actually about 73, 74 channels.
Man, that's a lot of mics, man. That's a lot of mics, and so my thing with that, well, let me go to this then. Any ever come across any last minute changes, like the artist let you know, like after sound check, yo, look, I want to try this, or like Jonathan had, he had his keyboard and stuff like that, or he'll have his guitar. Yeah, I want to try something else. You pull out a whole new instrument, or let somebody else, come on stage and play along or whatever.
That happens all the time. Surprises happen all the time.
Absolutely.
I can't even tell you. I've ran across the worst one I've had was did a whole sound check. The artist was happy, and then after they walked off stage, they was like, you know what? I want to use ears. So I'm like, okay. So are we gonna go back out there and sound check? They was like, no, this kind of give me a rough. Like what? Like, so trying to like dial up the ear mix real fast, give it to them, and then pray that it's all working out. But that's craziness that I've had. What
that probably tops crazy. Got to pass on this one.
Cause I mean, I've seen you on stage, like I said, man, like you, even with the Jonathan show, setting up the board and making sure the guitar and everything is straight, and working with some of them other musicians. I mean, y'all handled it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like professionals. So I'll even go to this a different setting outside of on the road. For musicians in the studio, what's some pointers y'all could give out for that? Definitely come knowing the material, but
know what you're about to play and come instrument prepared. Like when you come doing a keyboard, know the song may need a keyboard, piano, or come in or already have prepared, like I need to do a grand piano or upright piano for this field, or know your cymbal choice, know your drum head choice, know your bass choice, know if you want to use a certain preamp.
That's real. Now, even in a church situation, to alleviate some stress on the sound man, and also drop knowledge on some of the church musicians, even the young and coming. Like I've seen storefront churches, not that it matters. Storefront church musicians, well, not storefront church musicians that their churches in the storefront, they got inner ears and they feel like sound should be like this or that big church or that mega church. Yo, why my stuff don't sound like that? What are some things they should consider? Because I know some churches are not treated with the right acoustics, or so they can look around in their church and be like, all right, well that could be a factor. What are some things?
I mean, they just need to consider your surrounding. That's all. Consider the cards that you got dealt with and play them well. So that's my biggest thing with people. And if you're at a storefront church, good as well. You're not competing with a mega church sound system. So especially the consoles or whatever they're working with, or you got like the old deacon guy running the sound, or a volunteer, and other churches got professionals. Like you can't. It's just childish and stupid. You got to really be smart and understand what's happening, or what like I said, what cards you've been dealt with, and rock with it.
That's real. So from a musician, not a musician standpoint, but a sound engineer standpoint, as y'all do booking gigs and stuff like that, aside from when you're not on the road or you're not, doing sound in church, business wise, what is something you can encourage musicians to do? You know, are y'all full contracts? Is it, you know, necessity sometimes?
I say for me, when I'm not traveling, I'm usually at the church or I'm doing installs. Um, I took up interest in install a couple years ago. Um, so I do that when I'm not on the road to kind of pass time and stay current on the bills and
That's
coins.
real.
So I can pretty much install anything. And that's kind of where I lean to when I'm not traveling. I try to pick up as many clients as possible, um, even if it's small stuff, even if it's just consultation.
Right, right, right.
Um, Long story short, just have a second hustle.
That's real.
Um, Even if it's a little 9 to 5, or if it's a part time joint you can go back to. Like our intern, um, we send him out on gigs. When he come back home, he got like a steady job. But it's like knowing how to talk to your manager or doing your job when you're here well enough that your manager trusts you to travel. Um, that's one thing you can look at when you're not on the road. Just taking care of business elsewhere without relying on when.
So that's a good example of a, you know, the typical day for a sound engineer. What about you, Marty? What's a typical day for you?
Um, Mondays is usually my paperwork day. Like I go back over emails that I missed, text messages that I missed.
He said text messages.
Nah, bro, my phone,
I believe it. Look. You
my
know,
life right now
I understand.
is insane. So like I forget a lot of stuff. So I jot down a lot of stuff on my to-do list on my notes on the iPhone. Go back over that stuff, follow up. I made a good schedule for myself now just to be on top of myself with time. Um, Factor in some prayer time, factor in some shedding time. Always got practice. Always stay ahead of the game. And I just make sure that all my gigs for the weekend are lined up as advance. I know what gear is going to be there or what consoles or artists. You know, that's just my week. I'm a homebody. I don't do anything.
That's real.
Yeah, so
That's real. I mean, cool. And I mean, like I said, you know, even with me building my studio here at the crib, you guys helped me out like OD. You know what I mean? A lot from, you know, yo, E, you need to treat the walls. Yo, E, you need to get this type of interface, or, you know, this how you need the mic placement and stuff like that. So that's how y'all been helping me as a musician. And of course, I will help spread the word. And definitely, you know, the credit is yours, you know, when it comes down to it. And it's helped me a whole lot, you know, good feedback, just all the way across the board. So on the spiritual side, how has God affected your career? Or how do you feel like he's impacted your career? Briefly, if you know.
for me, I felt like I still go through culture shock sometimes because not culture shock, the wrong phrase. I'm sorry. I feel shocked and weird, out of body experiences because I've never been to school for anything I'm doing right now, and to be on the stages and places that I'm unable to do right now is unbelievable. Like I'm on, I'm mixing for legends or Grammy Award winning artists, like just different people. So I credit all that to God. God does that. He helps me get to those places. He helps me maintain the skill set to do that, the people skills to be able to do that. Um, so yeah, that's what I feel like God has done for me doing this. He's continued to open doors, continue to put my names. People be churchy. God to put your name in rooms that you're not walking into. But no, I've been a testament to that. People have been talking about me in rooms that I don't even know these people. And I'll meet them and they'll be like, yo, Marty, like, we've been talking about you, the word, and I don't even know these people. So, God, you put your faith in God and just let him do that side, but don't rely all the way on God. Like, wow, you're praying and saying, God, open up these doors for me for these gigs. You be at home, make sure you shed, study. Not only the skill set side, the professionalism side. Make sure you know how to talk to people. Make sure you know your emails. I mean, your hygiene while you're on the road with your roommates and musicians, your people skills, man. All that that comes with everything. Yeah, so that's my take on that.
That's real, Manny.
I would say I didn't know I was going to be doing this. I always tell a funny story. I broke my wrist 2013. I was kind of dabbling in sound, but Of course, I was a drummer. That's all I wanted to do. Even though I wasn't as fully great as I would like to be, I maintained the status that I wanted to keep, be known for, which is just having a nice pocket, I have all the chops in the world. I just made the music feel good, which is what I liked about how I played. But like I said, I broke my wrist. I met Marty like 2 months later. And here we are 6 years later.
That's real.
So I can say God is definitely a testament to speaking to somebody, telling me I was going to find out what I was really supposed to do in life. And now I'm doing it and looking to go even further and higher and, take everybody I can with me, train people, help people to grow and learn that actually want to do it and not just using us for what we got and then running away with it.
Right.
We've had a couple of people that just come get what they can get and take a little bit of it.
Just enough and then run with their own.
Then they call you when they get in trouble.
Of course,
when they could have just,
Stay
we don't mind
integrity.
helping anybody.
Yeah.
We ain't out here hitting nobody in the head with fees.
No.
So it's just one of them things where, you wonder why we doing what we doing and why you doing what you doing or scraping or stretching.
Right.
Just take a look in the mirror and just like ask God, what am I doing? Like self-check. Me and Marty talk about self-check. Like you got to reevaluate yourself.
Right.
Be like, God, what I need to do to be better, or what I need to do,
Right.
what I need to do in my personal time before my next gig to make me like stand out.
Right.
So,
Right. That's real. That's real, and that's good stuff, man. I mean, because I feel like God has impacted us all, even down to the musicians, man. Like some, may feel like God ain't got nothing to do with it, or not even anybody. Nobody said that in particular, but just in general, like, yo, bro, the fact that you woke up this morning, you still remember how to play drums. There's been a time where I used to be like, yo, you can never forget how to play drums, bro. Like, you know what I mean? Certain stuff is just second nature. Nah, bro. There's been times where I woke up like, yo, E, what you doing? Like, son, you do this. What you doing? Let me pray real quick, you know what I mean, and bounce back. Even with sound, I'm sure it's situations like that, like, yo, why this joint not acting right? But, you got through it. Thank God I made it through that situation. Other sound engineers in the area, that y'all collab with. Who are some of the sound engineers in the area,
In the area, you got, Joe Rowley, Jaron, Mike Battle,
Reggie Watson.
Reggie.
So if some musicians come across them, they, somewhat recommended, from you guys or whatever. And I mean, even with churches and installations and anything like that. What else do you do? Like, so I know, Manny, you said you do installations on the side and stuff like that. And these guys, their rates and their business is professional. I know Marty taught me, even with that, hey, your language, switch it up, get professional. Like he said with the email, I can vouch for that. That's 100, you know what I mean? Like, hey, you can't carry it the same way you do on the road, same way you do at home on the road. And that's real. And it's not being fake, bro. It's just like, nah, this is business, bro. It's just professional. Like, it's time to work. Outside of installations, anything else? Just trying to throw a little plug in there.
not really.
Okay.
I am about to do this like internship deal.
Okay.
That I kinda I'm working on cracking some ideas. Put up a Facebook post just saying what the response would be. It was really good. I got about 50 responses.
Okay.
Over probably about the course of an hour and a half. So it was just kind of cool to kind of see, one, how you're respected in the area.
Right.
Two is one of them situations figuring out how to give back and kind of grow up some cats that kind of want to do what we do, but either think we're untouchable or they don't know how to reach out to us. And far from untouchable. At the end of the day, it's a gift, and the way I got it, it can be taken away. And I understand that fully. So that's probably the next move. I'm about to work on now doing an internship program that just kind of helps groom other cats in the area. I just want to learn and want to get a intake or inside look at what we do. So that's the next thing I'm looking into right now.
This next generation, look out for that. And I mean, even musicians, if y'all want to learn sound, which I think is imperative, musicians should learn sound. You know what I mean? Like, I used to, they talk about, from Marty to Jermaine to Joe, Jermaine artist, Joe, like, frequency, this and that. I knew how to cut the soundboard on and mess with the faders and the highs, lows, and mids. But when you get into the frequencies and, that stuff is different. It ain't nothing to play with. You know what I mean? You really got to know it. You really got to have a good ear. You got to strengthen your ear, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? And protect your ears at all costs. So musicians, you know what I mean? Definitely protect your ears, and, everything ain't got to be super loud. And, just level off. Even when you, bumping music in your car, man, and, the new records, how we was doing when we was young. So, I mean, and that's as far as the new venture you got going on. Marty, you got any new ventures or anything you want to?
I can't speak on something right now, but I got about 10 in the making.
Okay.
Right now, that's on the board.
That's what's up.
We got one. Let you know one is going to be some headphones coming, so.
Oof.
That's coming soon.
Moves.
But yeah, it's about a good 10.
That's what's up.
That you're going to see in the area.
That's what's up, man. That's what's up. Man, and like I said, man, I just appreciate y'all pulling up and just dropping a little knowledge and some insight, for this next generation. Really, that's why I'm doing it, the Musicians Exchange. Because we always exchange stuff, whether it be, knowledge, music, money, anything, gear, you know what I mean? So, I mean, why not just push the positive and, let's make our jobs easier in the near future. Because even with sound checks with me, bro, back in the day, y'all got 2 minutes to move y'all drums around the way you want to move them. And they already not even tuned. You got to get through it. You got to do what you got to do. That was a major experience for me. So, but we did what we had to do. And the more we grew up, we learned, hey, you sit down, you look at it, all right, I could deal with that, Let me figure out what's at the top of the list to worry about getting situated first. But yeah, man, definitely, man, be on the lookout for, Marty and Manny. Definitely check them out at some shows and stuff like that. And I appreciate y'all listening and, to the Musicians Exchange. And this is just an episode from the sound engineer's perspective.